In this video, we're going to be looking at the Thurston RFQ integration. So firstly, we have CorePrint, which is our web-to-print solution, and we have our login page here. But also, on a separate screen, we have a remote connection to Thurston. So we can see in their tasks module, and if we just refresh, we can see there are no inquiries, sales orders or jobs. So now we can go back to CorePrint and we can log in. And we now see the Aspire software, and within our categories we can go into request for quote. So we can have multiple templates for request for quotes, but in this example we're just going to select a brochure. So the form now opens up and we have set fields that we need to fill in, for example the name of the RFQ. Now this is the name that will be referred to internally if we need to search or see it in a list. So now we have the element section. In these fields we can now input the information that is going to be seamlessly synchronized into the MIS. So we can now enter our title, and we can select from drop downs. For example, here we've got finished size, then we can enter the number of text pages, and there's more drop downs to select what's stock and how the artwork's coming in and proofing. And of course these are all the matching fields within CorePrint and Thurston. So when we send these across, this is the data that's going to come through. And at the bottom here we've just got a field where we can add any additional information that we want. And finally, we can ask for quantities. So I'll have a price for 1,000, 1,500, and we can add as many as we need. So now we can submit the request for quote. We get a quick summary on there, and it's now gone into our request for quote list within CorePrint Aspire. It has the status of waiting. Now if we now move back and we go into Thurston, we just refresh the list, now we can see this task has come through and again seamlessly been created in the MIS. So we can now open it. We can look at the main details. It says brochure, but we actually have the custom fields within Thurston, so we can now see all of the content that we'd previously inputted within CorePrint Aspire, and now that's actually come through, including the additional information at the bottom there, and there's also the quantities as well. So that task that's now sat in the MIS, we can now go in to create an estimate. And this is using Thurston's Estimate Pro software. So we can create a blank estimate, or we can use an existing estimate, or maybe a template. But just to show how fast Thurston's Estimate Pro is, we'll start from 0. So we can now see the form that we need to fill in for the estimate. And we can input our own titles. You can pick up classifications. What type of work is it? What product types here? We can see we can send it as saddle stitched. What quantities do they want? Because the information that's actually shown on the left hand side here, this is what's actually been submitted by the customer. But you may want to change something. Maybe the type of binding is not suitable for the number of pages and the caliber of stock, etc., etc. So you'll get all the information, but you can then tailor it within the actual estimate. So you can see here we've got a text section. We can just select the actual stock. So we'll do that form on 115. We can put the number of pages in, and we can go into our processes if we need to, and we can make selections of specific pre-press or post-press processes that go along with this. So when we press OK, Estimate Pro will now go and do calculations using all the production kit that's available for this type of work, and we'll see a list of all the solutions on what machines, what cost and value added, and then once we've actually made a selection, we'll actually see all the imposition details and the price that actually goes out to the customer, and that's the personalised price to that customer for that type of work. So we've done our estimate. So now we can close it down, and now it's saying, is the RFQ complete? So you may be waiting for an outwork price, possibly, but for this example, we'll just say yes, it is complete. So now this task that was in there, and it was red before, the color red. So it's actually now gone to black because it's been completed, and now we're back into CorePrint, and we can see that this RFQ price has now been quoted. So we can open that up and we can see the main details that are on there, and we can also see the quantities. And once we've decided which quantity we would like, and we can also see the element information, and that's the detail that we actually submitted. So now we can have a look at the quantities we would like, and we can make a selection, and if you need to fill in a cost center, then it'll ask us to fill that in, and then we can now add that to the basket within CorePrint here, and we can now proceed to checkout. So on the checkout page, again, this can be configurable, but in these examples, we're just asking for purchase order numbers, contact telephone numbers, delivery names, delivery addresses, and invoice addresses. You may have that, you may not. As I say, it is personalizable. And we can now check out. Now, when we press the checkout button, it's now communicating back into Tharston. Because we've got the estimate, we know the method of manufacture, we've got everything there, we've got the authority now from the customer. We can now take that inquiry, we can now pass it back through again and say, right, turn this estimate into a job. And now Tharston automation will kick in, and now we've got our job that's in there straight into production, and it's got all of the manufacturing information behind it. So basically, with regards to this integration, you can do 24/7 quote requests. They can do it across, because it's browser-based, you can do it across any device. And it's also streamlined into the Tharston MIS, as we've seen. And of course, you can do SLAs for when the task came in, and when the estimate was created, and when the job was created. Much more accurate to actually capture information from the customer, and much easier as well. And all the admin is managed within one system.